Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
All right.
With you.
So,
we're totally with you. Okay.
all right, wait. So hold up.
Easy
27.
Johnny. I'm stuck on the whole walking through the
80s, so
hallway.
she was like a Molly Ringwald to me. Like if you know anything about the John Hughes movies.
I won $100 million.
Oh God.
I disappeared.
I got it. No, I know this is why it works. Because there is a way. They do not. Like,
Easy. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Easy Monday Motivation. It is your boy E of Scotch with E, here with the wonderful crew that always comes through. Because Monday, I'm telling you, listen, down to the wire, but we still gonna show up. We do our thing. I want to say hello to everybody and also check in. So what's up, Johnny? How's it going, Johnny? How's it going, CT? How's it going, guys?
You know, it's going. Things are going.
Yeah. Johnny, you look like you just sat down. You look very comfortable.
Listen, I'm so flustered. Like literally just sat down, logged in. And then I had to finish some work from earlier before I logged in. So I'm all over the place. But you know what? I'm here. I'm ready.
And that's what we're happy about, that you are here and you are ready because hey, the queen came through, okay, on everything.
And they were acting up behind stage too. So I don't even know what was happening. But then everybody tried to be on their best behavior. Just to let everybody know.
Hey, Mama. I don't know about that. How do you know if you came in late?
I was being too nice to me when I came. On.
Honey, are you okay? Are you okay? Honey?
I could tell.
I mean, maybe we acted a little abashed, but we're gonna CT. How you doing? I mean, you alright? I mean, everything good with you? You gotta jump away from that.
So I appreciate you for asking. Thank you so much. Just so excited to be with you guys tonight.
This is what I meant.
This amazing pod. Just it's a beautiful day here in Columbus, Ohio, and I just listen. I don't even have real words to describe, just how amazing, Johnny. It's so good to see you. E, my gosh, I'm telling you.
My gosh.
Just
yeah.
Oh, listen, I'm emotional about it. And there it is. Look at it. See just how you doing alive. Listen, don't you say when you join like a live meeting, please put your phones on pause or like I'm saying like that or pause. Depending on what country you're from. I'm from Boston right now, from pause. But yeah,
shout out to Mom with the COD pass as we pause on things that we choose to as well. I absolutely love how you say you cannot say words, but then you articulated the words before you said it. So it was amazing. I mean, I love it both ways. But I really do want to check in with you guys, see how your week was. I know, Johnny, you just got home and you've been doing the whole mom and being the mom at work thing. But how's your week been though? How you been?
It's been really good. I had the opportunity this weekend to go home to Mansfield and facilitate a discussion with a women's group called Safe Place, led by Sister Linda Robinson. Shout out to her, y'all. And she's doing some things that folks haven't really done before in that city, in that space. And so it was really cool to be there. I was up for just a short period of time with them, just talking about emotional intelligence and some components around that. And it was so dope. It was really cool.
Nice.
Okay. All right.
Been on the go.
What you know about emotional intelligence, Johnny?
I'm about to say, and you leave that out of our conversations when you be talking to me and we're talking about how I need to be more emotionally. It's all right. It's okay.
I do.
It's all right. You save it for your people, not us. Just want y'all to know I'm not okay, Johnny.
Oh, that is funny.
Well, you know what?
Really good.
Yeah, no, thank you. So CT, I do want to check on you. How was your week? How have you been? I know you got a lot of things moving. So you a shaker and mover. What's grooving?
Listen, I'm finally this last week I was not on the road. And as much as people glamorize like travel, like sometimes it can be nuts just because travel isn't always good. So been home, and let's be clear. The thing that is on the page that is most exciting, y'all are familiar with it. Those of y'all that don't know, our son Christian, his fiance Krista, are under 2 weeks until the wedding.
Countdown real.
Florida countdown is on. It is both like the most amazing thing ever, and it is okay. So here's a vulnerability, right? I was sitting with my father-in-law and his wife, and we were just working on some plans and whatever. And I was literally sitting there working on something. And Johnny, I just started to cry. It's like,
Okay.
what in the world is going on with me? Like, and Papa Sue is what they call him. He's like, you just having a spiritual moment. It's okay, just let it happen. I was just like, my gosh, our oldest son is getting married. Who
Big deal.
does that? Like, so I'm good and
Wow.
I'm not. Like, it's like, what in the world is going on? So really excited. Next couple of weeks is going to be really, really incredible. And you know, when you have things like weddings that happen, they really do bring people together and inspire. And I think we have one more pod before I actually come back and be like, hey, the wedding's over, they're married, and here's where I went. So I will probably have some more commentary to share in our next episode. So yeah, so I'm good.
Oh. Yeah. All right. Hey, that's dope. Hey, well, shout out to Kristen and Krista for getting all together and the love and all the things. Because I have to throw in all the things. Man, like, hey, listen, I'm happy for y'all, and I'm definitely happy for them because it is a beautiful thing. You know what I'm saying? I know bringing the family together. It's not just them. It's you guys coming together as a family, extending the legacy and sharing it. So that's a beautiful thing. So. Yeah. For me, your AOC, I've been cool, man. I mean, work has been cool. I'm traveling this week. Last week was really nice. Got to see some fun things. I went to the movies, checked out that Ministry of Ungentlemanly Like Warfare, which was fun and off the chain. So me and my mom were at the movies at the same time. Like we weirdos, all right? You know what I'm saying? Like I'm at the movie and I text her like bop bop bop. She like at the movies. I'm like, I'm at the movies.
Oh wait, y'all were together.
No, we weren't together. We went to the movies at the same time. Yeah, so but that's how much we alike because we like, what you doing? I'm like, I'm doing the same thing you doing. Wow. I just put down my phone and be like, all right, whatever. Just keep it moving. I just instantly switch up whatever I'm doing, like whatever, and just go do something else. But yeah, I cleaned up around the place. I got to do a little traveling. We had a family reunion meeting with my siblings, and we got to come together and talk about the plans that we have for a family gathering in August. So,
oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, something that, I think it'll be the 45th year. So it's older than I am, and I enjoy that. I've watched it in its entirety. It helped raise me, you know what I'm saying? Like that process helped raise me a lot. I got experiences because of it. And I think that it's a tradition that we should make an institution in all families. I do think that there should be a foundation to just start family reunions for people to bring them together with their families, to set up scenarios for growth and networking and potential opportunities. You know what I'm saying? I do. But that's what I was on. You know what I'm saying? I was on my my give back stuff and all of that. But
hey, you didn't. You got to tell the people like we got to meet Mama. Like we got
I let that out.
All kinds of things. Don't leave that out. I got to meet the queen.
Yeah. So you know how y'all remember back in the day when we had this wonderful culture that used to perpetuate experiences for children to share with their parents, right? Now, I was one of those kids that got to go to work with my mom from time to time and see what she did and see who she worked with and learn about the hospital and all of the different things that nurses were in charge of, and how critical their jobs were and how the liaisons were the people to really console the families and all of these things. Like I got to learn that because I got to walk into the hospital and see my mom execute her job. So fast forward probably, 35 years later, like, all right, I had the same opportunity because my mother has been a you know, she's been a customer of, you know, the institution for as long as I've been alive, you know. So I said, "You never been there?" She's like, "No, I've never been there." I'm like, "Okay, well, I gotta make that happen." So I got to bring my mom to work and walk her around and show her the building, and you know, go to lunch with her and let her sit outside with me on the, you know, the nice little patio area for us to talk, and her to really get to experience what it was like for me to show up to work and the people that I work with in the environment. And I also got to get her some one-on-one help. So when I took her over to the bank area, you know, saying somebody CT ran over there and snuck a little selfie with mom because, you know, we didn't have time to all connect. Johnny wasn't there that day, you know. She was Johnny on the spot today, but that day she was not. I wasn't. But it was a wonderful day, and I'll never be able to forget that. And I think my whole team now has a greater appreciation for who I am because they got to see where I came from. Like they really got to see it firsthand. So yeah, that was it was fun.
I look so happy too.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, you know, she retired now, so and to be able to see her kids be established and be able to see my career in the way that, you know, I've blossomed into what I do is been a real joy for her, and to be able to take her inside the hallowed halls of, you know, the place and be able to point out stuff and just be herself because she was so goofy. Listen, the dude was like, "Oh man, it looks like your account was open 2 months before I was born."
Oh wow! Oh wow!
Yup.
Oh wow!
Shots fired. Okay, but hey, that's all right, you know. But my whole family is like intertwined with this. I even adopted a branch or whatever. So like my son down there in Arizona is like, "I got a brother branch. That's my brother." I'm like, so my family is like, I don't know, I got to do something, CT. But anyway, yeah, I had a wonderful week, wonderful weekend. But you know, that brings me to me talking about how things used to be leads me to today's conversation, because I also want to call out that there's some holidays that have passed, and one that we want to kick off today. Today is Earth Day. And for those that don't know, happy Earth Day. You know, the Earth Day celebration started, I believe the first official was in 1970. And it started because it wanted to bring awareness to, you know, environmental problems and things with the world. And it was a very powerful movement that started with, you know, people believing and being motivated to change the world, right? And it's crazy when you think about how an idea is a seed, and then people work really hard. They stay at it. They toil, because you got to think about what you do with a seed, right? Like you don't just plant it in the ground, walk away. No, it requires nurturing. It requires sun. It requires the right soil. It requires you to come over and deal with scenarios, protection from the environment, as well as like insects and animals. All different things can happen to the seed as it's growing into whatever it's meant to be, right? Ultimately, when something is nurtured and taken care of, like imagine that I'm calling people, and it's not a derogatory word in my opinion, but a tree hugger, caring about a seed to the point to where now we have Earth Day. Like that is motivational to me, to know that if there's a cause or something you are into, something you believe that has a social impact or cultural impact, you can fight, you can talk, you can lobby, you can gather people to that cause, and you can make a change to the point where it becomes a national recognized holiday. Like, what do you guys think about when you think of Earth Day?
You know, I'm just going to say really quickly, not necessarily Earth Day. Well, you know, I'm all about Earth Day because
I know. That's why I threw you that layup.
Do I even have to explain? Like, okay, we all know how I feel about God's earth. Okay, I love it. And I think we all can do our part. But that's what I was thinking about when you were talking about people being so passionate about, and you said tree hugger in the most respectful way, right? Like people being so passionate about it. But I think that's why it's important that we all have a passion and kind of focus on it, because we all have to do our part, right? No matter what it is. So Maybe it's the earth, maybe it's animals, maybe because I always watch like the nature channels or something. And I'm like, well, somebody has to do it. Somebody needs to like be involved and really care about it. So I think that that's fantastic. I do. And even when it comes to no matter what the topic is, I still feel like we all have our own part. So just as small as not littering. My kids know that is my pet peeve. Like, how dare you just throw trash on God's earth? Like, don't do that. You don't litter. But all of that makes a difference, I think, too.
Yeah. No, that's very true. And you're absolutely right. When we think about like the impact that Earth Day had, right? It didn't just create like awareness. It created actual, what's up, D, right? It created actual change in legislation. Like they required plastics to be made in specific ways and to have specific identifiers to know the types of plastic. You know what I'm saying? Like there was so much detail that went into trying to understand what needed to happen in order for the people who wanted to improve the world. How? We had to effectively know where to make those changes and to ultimately change the culture that we live in. Now think about it. There was no blue receptacles. There was just trash cans.
I know.
Now we look 30, 40, 50 years later, recycling has been something embedded into our culture for years. Right. So it's so amazing how something that you are interested in can create cultural change. CT, did you have something you wanted to say about Earth Day?
Listen, I think I first want to address the comment by the easy motivationer Mary Douglas, who said something about us sipping on lemonade. I believe it's actually Sprite. That's what we have here on the show. But
not me, Mom. I don't have anything today.
Mama. Listen, look, we got you, Johnny. No, so in the spirit of our pod, right? We have such amazing perspectives that are not necessarily different, but they connect and align with each other. And so one of the things that I thought about with regard to the concept of Earth, I thought about the book of Genesis in the Bible. And I was like, when was not just the earth formed, but most specifically, since it was from seed to tree, when was the plant introduced into the ecosystem or the context of this design, this beautiful thing called Earth? And it was on the third day. And that's when plant life was introduced into the conversation. And when I think about the genius of that design, there was intentionality about when things were introduced, how they were introduced, and when they happened to show up, they helped to advance the cause of the thing that showed up before it and after it. So to the extent that for us, when we start thinking about the tree, when we start thinking about the plant life that existed, it fed the things that became before and after it. But it needed first to have light to show up before it could actually produce what it needed to. And so I'm excited about this conversation because when we talk about cultural transformation, when we talk about this planet that we are on, there are some impacts that are happening because of decisions that we are making as human beings that are impacting the planet. Not that this pod is about to be a political conversation around global warming or anything to that effect, but I would say that there is a responsibility that we have to understand the impacts of the decisions that we make every single day that do cause us to have to think differently around what we are doing to this earth that we have been given and grace with. So that's my initial commentary, but I know we got a lot to talk about tonight.
Oh yeah, we do because like and you're right, and we're gonna come back to that. You already know like this subject of how we impact Earth is going to be something that we definitely gonna have to break out in detail because we got a lot of work to do, y'all. But I also want to talk about another holiday that passed, and I got a joke for you guys, right? Okay, all right. Johnny and CT, did y'all know that the holiday 420 comes twice? You didn't?
No.
Okay, so yes. Saturday was 420.
Yes.
And today is 4/22. That's right. Hey. 420, 420, we back. So
I think I was too nervous to even fully embrace it because I didn't know. And then I don't know why I thought it was going to be a joke on me. I went a lot of different places. I knew
where I was going. I was like, brace yourself. Brace yourself.
And it wasn't bad at all. Okay. I would have been able to giggle more if I wasn't so terrified.
I mean, it's okay. I mean, you know, it is me, but hey, you know what, Cam? Whatever. Cam
didn't like it.
I know he didn't, but you know, Cam never would. Sorry. Yeah. I mean, but so that's another that in my mind brings up another example of a cultural impact through someone being motivated to change, right? Like when we think about it, 420 is a national holiday recognizing legalization of marijuana and the protest and the rights behind it, right? Yeah. But that's not where it started, right? Like there's a couple of theories of how it started, and it this whole thing of something meaning something to one person, someone else taking that and making a motivation to make change is also interesting, right? Because it means one thing to one person, it means something to somebody else. So originally the theory was, or the story behind it was 420 came because of this group called the Waldos, right? These guys that would meet at the statue, I think after school around 420. And then the story was there was a local person who had made a map to some grove that he had planted some trees out there, literal trees out there, and they were trying to find it. So they would meet at 420. They would, you know, do their thing, and then they would go out and try to find this treasure. Ideally, it probably wasn't a great idea to probably indulge before you went to go look for it, because it seems like you would have got a little bit lost, or in some instances hungry and didn't want to actually go through with it. Yeah. So, you know, like, so I don't know how well that was, but ultimately that information or that story transferred to somebody who actually made it famous. Like the narrative became famous behind 420. But then someone took that narrative and they were motivated behind this, and they decided that they would carry that into some sort of political fight and all of these things. We look back and we know that there was a whole time where when we think of marijuana or hemp or, you know, weed, whatever, it was just taboo, right? Like, because I have to look at it in my time frame to be like, yo, when I was a kid, like, you know, we knew people knew about it, but it was called. And the crazy thing is, like, it has a million names. I think it literally has. I think it has 1,200 different names.
Really?
For it. It has 1,200 different names. Yeah, you know, I did research. It had 1,200 different names, and in itself, in its rawest form, is 2,500 years old.
Wow.
I tell you,
that says a lot.
It's older than that.
I mean, you already know it is. It
was in the garden in the original plant form.
Yeah.
Right. We can talk about what happened to it in a minute, but keep going. Keep.
Yeah. So like you have all of this story narrative behind it that carries us to today. Because again, in my time, it was seen as a negative thing. I mean, you had the whole hippie connotation. It was a negative stereotype behind it. And you had all of this, you shouldn't do this. You shouldn't do the bye, stay away from it. I mean, I went to DARE when I was a kid. You know what I'm saying? To keep the kids off, the kids need. Okay, they said don't need. I don't remember. But just
I know all about DARE. I know all about DARE though. Yeah. Just know
I did pass DARE where they, you know, they used to bring a suitcase full of drugs to school and show kids drugs.
Kids, don't do this.
Don't do these drugs. You like, how do we steal the suitcase?
Hey, did you see the interview the other day where somebody was talking about? It was like, I was introduced to Molly in my 8th grade DARE class. It's like I didn't know anything about it. They brought it to school. Really?
I mean, but that's cool. Yeah. But that's really how it was. You know what I mean? We literally came into these things where we were trained to not think one way, and now we fast forward into now.
Yeah.
it's actually prescribed as medicine. It was, it's culturally appropriate. It was first legalized in Washington, then Colorado. Like it's like, yeah, like there's all of these things where you're like, well, we were told one thing, and culture was driven behind the hate and disdain for anybody who used it. I mean, there's been laws, people are incarcerated, all of these things behind it. But now, within the last, I don't know, 20 years, culturally, I don't know, I think it's Uncle Snoop did it all, but culturally, we have moved so far. Okay, I will, Mom, since you wanted me to tell him. I'm gonna tell him.
Listen, your mother, I love her.
Of course you do.
She's like, tell him about the first time.
My mama, I mean, I was honest about it too. So I mean, what does she expect me to do? I mean,
so funny.
But we see that there's this way different narrative of it now. It is so culturally appropriate. I mean, it's sold on the corners, you know what I'm saying, now, as opposed to before. Like, guys, has that changed your life and narrative in that perspective as well? Has there been a cultural shift for you where you have seen the impact of, we'll just call it the 420 movement, actually change your perception and perspective of the world around that? And I'll come to you first, CT.
Listen, I don't know how much time I have for this particular segment because there's so many nuances and lanes that you can take on this discussion. So there is the CT lane, right? So the CT lane is the idea that growing up, it was presented. There it is. Wait a minute. I don't know if y'all see the background, but clearly into a new segment of the show. So the CT segment was when I love you, Cam. When I grew up, like everything that under the religious context that I grew up in was all about the things that you were not allowed to do. It was a Old Testament thou shalt not way of thinking about it, versus there is an experience that each of us is having and is going to have, and whatever that experience presents us, then we learn from it, right? And so I didn't learn about the nuances of weed, marijuana, ganja, a blunt. Like I did not have context for that until I got to college. Like it was not a part of my narrative, but there are people that I know that like how they grew up, it was a part of how they lived. They learned how to roll a blunt. They knew how to take the paper and never mind. They knew how to do what they needed to do with the natural thing that grew out of the ground. And Kim, would you do me a favor? Do you happen to have a clip that might be able to illustrate more effectively how I might actually describe this moment? Do you have something for us?
Need to smoke some weed and see if it don't help the quality of life. I know, I see some of y'all. Look, I understand. If you ain't smoking weed because you got a good job, then by all means make your paper, boo-boo. But if you ain't got no job and you not smoking weed, I don't know what you are doing with your life. I really don't. I really don't. Look, I done the research. It's just a plant. It just grow like that. And if you should happen to set it on fire, there are some effects. But that's not the same as drugs. Been living, you ain't never overdosed on marijuana. You might have thought that nigga was dead. He ain't dead. He gonna wake up in 30 minutes, hungry enough to eat up everything in your house. That's the side effects. Hungry, happy, sleepy. That's it. And if you could just get that in your system, it could change your life. Some of y'all be crying about bills you can't pay. Just, I don't know what I'm gonna do about this light bill. They want the whole thing. They don't want a piece of it, a deposit. Just hit the blunt one time and see if it don't change your perception of what's important in your life. You just, I don't know what I'm gonna do about this life. I got 12 candles. I've been waiting to
I'm just saying, you know what I'm saying? There is this particular thing that was introduced into the ecosystem, and I appreciate how Kat provided us context for how this thing that was introduced into our ecosystem has created a different way for us to think about how we live our lives, right? Yeah. There was a group of folks that when I was first introduced to it, again, I said I was in college, right? Yeah. And I didn't know anything about it. And there were no guardrails at that time for me to better understand what it was or what it wasn't. It was just an experience that I had. And that experience did not make me good or bad, right or wrong, up or down. It just was an experience that I now have an opportunity to talk about, right?
Yeah.
I didn't wasn't doing anything, air quotes, illegal, even though it was illegal. And when we think about what has happened in our society, what we're learning now is when you think about the concept of wellness, when you think about the concept of how people are using natural things to be introduced into the conversation that helps us become more whole, the thing that we demonized at one time, to your point, E, is now a thing we leverage to help people. And, you know, not that I'm wearing glasses now and I don't use it for glaucoma. I don't actually use it. But if I was to use it to help my eyesight, then it would be something that I want to make sure it's okay for me to be able to use.
Yeah.
And in another context, I recognize, and I talked to my daughter about this, and she said it was okay. It is a part of her wellness journey that has been prescribed to her, that she is able to leverage that as a natural tool to help some of the anxiety that has existed in her life. And I'm grateful for that, right?
Yeah.
And so to the extent that the journey of life has come full circle, in the sense that when I was growing up, it was demonized. And today it is actually a tool that is helping our daughter be able to regulate in a way that she could not have if not for. And so there's much around this discussion that I am literally passionate about, which is why I feel myself I'm passionate about, because I've watched it transform over time. And that if we get out of our own way around the bias we have around what it was and recognize what it can be, we might actually find a pathway where all of us can say, you know what, it may not be for me, and that's okay, but it's for somebody else, and that's okay too. So
Yeah.
No, and shout out, thank you for being open and vulnerable. You know what I'm saying? I definitely yes, ma'am. Yeah, he does. Thank you, because it is transformative when we think about what we've experienced. You know what I mean? Like in our lifetime, we watch something go from the worst thing to it saves people. It helps them with their scenarios. And before you could even consider that, you could even tell anybody that you gained some benefit from it. You were just demonized. So it is a beautiful thing to watch how our culture has changed through the motivations of those people who believed in the movement of 420. So that, because I think the thing I want to make sure that is clear, that movement created the research and funding that created the narratives that allow for medical research to be identified in these things. If nobody was fighting for the opportunity to see what it could do and the benefits, and it was just stay demonized, then we would not have been able to make the cultural change to now seeing it as a medicine that can save and help people, in their lives. So Johnny, I want to come to you and talk about how it has affected you. And now you can only be as open as you choose to be, Johnny. I won't put you on the spot.
Oh, I think you saying Johnny, you won't put me on the spot is kind of putting me on the spot. But has it been?
Well, let me go ahead and say it. I did tell CT I was going to get Johnny on the spot into the conversation, and I did.
Oh, this is was this the second time, wasn't it?
Yep.
Do you win anything for this?
No,
not yet.
Not yet. Not yet.
Playing tired. Like biscuit.
Oh gosh. Not that again. Younger siblings unite. That's what I always say when I hear that phrase. Oh no, there it goes again.
All right, guys. No, we have not been smoking. All right, now you can go, Johnny.
Right.
No, I love this conversation that we are having, because it made me think about the way I grew up. And to be honest, I did not get permission from anyone to say anything in particular. So I'll just say this. I was not taught that it was wrong. However, I was educated that it was demonized by society, and especially toward Black men, that Black men were made to look as if it made them hypersexualized, and that they were going to go out and attack women. Like, I was very aware of what the culture was trying to tell us. Now, there's many different theories, and I won't even get into that, because again, we don't want to take that political approach here, but like I have many different opinions about it. But I was very well educated on what society told us the effects of marijuana. And I could not understand that because the people that I knew that smoked marijuana was like, none of them were acting this way. No one's acting this way. But I've seen people drink and act completely different, right? So I was grateful that it has become more normalized as part of the conversation, because I've kind of always been aware in a way of the benefits of it, I guess I would say, right? As opposed to like the negative aspects of it. And when you said, what did you say? It has 1,200 different names. That just tells me that it's universal, right? So I often think that more people either partake or have partaken than have not. So I'll automatically assume that when I meet someone like, oh yeah, they probably smoke weed, because a lot of people do. So I don't know. I never really thought that it was a bad thing, but I was just aware of what society taught us that it was. And obviously it was illegal, but even with it being illegal, I thought like, I never thought it was a big deal.
When we were coming up, like, oh, that's a great question. But when we were coming up, it was something you smoked. Like the culture has transformed in a way that now it's not just about the smoking of it, but it is the ability to transform it into something that is. There is a series on Netflix that talks about how you incorporate it into food. Right. And I know that resonates with you, Scotch with E, like the cook in you, like how you infuse it into a meal, right? And it becomes a part of an experience that someone has versus that I'm only doing it to produce a particular effect. I'm not suggesting or saying that people who do it are just going for that thing, but that's not all it is, right?
No,
So things can be true. It can be true that some people use it as an addictive thing, like they do with a lot of stuff. Like addictive behavior can't be assigned to one thing, but it is also true that sometimes people just enjoy a particular thing. And if I had to go Bible here, it's not about the ability to do a thing. It's when you do it in consumption that is above what is the normal thing that one might do. So if I'm doing it in consumption so that I reach an effect or an outcome that is like I'm drunk, I'm high, I'm etc., that's different. It's different. And so I want to make sure that as we're having this conversation, we can level set a little bit. It's okay, brownies. It's okay that we have moments where like we can do, we can enjoy the things that we do, and as long as we don't take them to an extreme or extended place, then okay. Then this is my opinion. Thank you very much. The opinion that's expressed in this current moment is by Christopher Thompson, the chocolate drop. Like I'm sharing this moment because there is a thing that I have experienced in time that I have lived through watching how when someone doesn't have grace or compassion for what an experience someone is having and why they're doing a particular thing, you now turn it into judgment. And I'm telling you the truth. Like when it turns into judgment, that's when I turn a little left on it. Right. And so I would love us to continue this dialogue, but I want to go back to something we heard in the chat. I think Melanie mentioned it. I think Mike pulled it up around the monetization of this particular thing, because in the truth of it is it was bad until you can make money on it. Now, I don't know if go this route, E, but
that's why I just said I'm not going to even get into it because
monetize the thing. So I don't know how you feel about that one, E.
How do I feel about it? I mean, I haven't. Is it my turn to talk about the cultural change? Because I guess I got to tell the story about how the time that my mama.
Why are you scratching? Right?
Because she called me out. She's like, I got to tell about the time that the first time. Mom, really? Just know that it wasn't. That wasn't. I'm just playing. I definitely agree with both of you that like there has been a good cultural shift, but at the same time, I also think that there's been a very negative cultural shift, because the more we normalize something without understanding, the more we dilute the true understanding that we should have of it. So that way it doesn't like incapacitate our culture, because that's what it has. That's what it has the ability to do. Like, all right, cool. We're going to keep dumbing things down and keep allowing people to have more fog in their life instead of clarity. So yes, I can make more money off of you because now I know that I can send you somewhere and you can take your little card and go get something. And it numbs you and keeps you in your seat a little bit longer. And you're paying me, but I'm making money off of this. And then the medicine you're taking and the job and like, yeah, it's 100%. I know it's a factory. You know what I'm saying? I understand that it's an industry. Like it was when it was illegal, it was an industry. So it was an illegal industry. I mean, I've seen it from both ends, and I know that it's still a business no matter what. The fact that now you can buy, to Mom's point, you can buy brownies from the store, you can do X, Y, and Z without any real recourse. I mean, that's the problem. You know what I'm saying? So we've made it to a place to where we've let things into our culture too fast, and then it gets too far ahead of us to not really be able to pull it back, because now the gummies and the candies and the edibles and all these things, your kids is eating them because they candy. But I'm saying, like, the narrative is this is what we're doing is making things more normalized to the point to where it can easily be confused of who these things are for. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, when it was just the bud in the papers, you had to know the process to do the stuff, right? But now they've made it so easy that it's literally a piece of candy that a kid can accidentally eat.
Get that? But like, I guess I don't know. I guess because I feel as if, what am I trying to say here? Like, long before it was ever legal, people were putting it in brownies, making candy, putting it in food. They were doing these things already. I do get what you're saying though, because you can go somewhere and purchase it for sure. I guess I just have this idea that, like, I don't know.
So I mean,
people have always been using it for
right. I mean, so you're right.
People really think more people are using it now necessarily. Maybe we've,
regular weed.
Yeah,
Thompson said regular weed. Like whatever it is.
All right, so let me break it down to you. Like there's so many strands and so many names in the packaging. The packaging looks the packaging looks like Skittles.
Yeah.
So you remember they had the e-cigarettes and they had to ban the e-cigarettes and all of the little alcoholic sports drinks and stuff because they looked like they were for kids.
Yeah.
Like that, it was illegal for them to sell those things because you could clearly tell they were marketing to kids. Well, we're in that same space right now. Like, it's hyper in that space because there's musical artists that have their own strands and own things, and they're selling the direct. Like it's so hyper. I would say it's hyper capitalized at this point to where it's merchandised, right? Like it is all about money. Though I'm happy that the medicinal benefits and all those things come to it, I also know that it's about money. I do know that, and I'm good with that. I'm good with the fact, you know what I'm saying? Because let's be honest, this may change some people's perspective. Some people who was going to sell weed before may realize, like, oh, maybe I need to not sell weed. Maybe I need to start a business instead of just selling weed. Yeah, like maybe I can. Maybe I can go into be an entrepreneur in this avenue because it's something that I feel like I'm good at, and you can legalize your business now. So I hope that it creates a duality for people to go, yes, I know I need to be able to, if I need to use it for the right reasons, or if I'm going to use it use it responsibly. You know what I'm saying? Like let's not be out here doing crazy stuff. And then
let's be clear about it, right? Let's be clear about one thing. Like,
okay.
And this is where we have evolved.
Yeah.
The cats that were on the corner selling the business that they were running was no different than what we see today in corporate America. It was just the way that they were doing it was visible in a way that we could define as illegal. and the system that we had set up allowed, from a corporate perspective, for the way that they had set up the system and the structure and how you moved things, like the delivery system was brilliant, right? If you took the delivery system that the cats on the corner took and they built that business out, and you layered that against what was happening in a corporate environment, there wasn't much difference. It was just one was legal and one was hidden legal, right? And so, to the extent that I think one of the things that I have found fascinating, and not because that Mel and I watch BMF and we watch Power and we've been watching some of these shows now that bring illuminate the role of what we would define as titled drug dealer. I would define it as a non-corporate business owner, or today's modern language would be an entrepreneur. And to the extent that the thing that they were doing was wrong because it was illegal, but the way that they did it, they were brilliant in their ability to understand how the ecosystem worked and how the delivery methodology and around how you got things to the product, to the customer, capitalism, supply, and demand. Like we could talk all day about what was wrong with it, but it was a way, when you, from a business perspective, they were doing business in a way that if someone could find a way to take that same person and put them in a system that allowed that entrepreneurial spirit to do something more legal or something better, air quotes, depending on how you define it, they would be millionaires today. They were millionaires back in the day, but then they ended up in jail and they ended up dead, or they ended up at war with one another, right? And so I think something about this conversation to me does carry a very real, like, this is what happened in our community that caused us to break down in a way that if we had learned earlier how to take the minds of those brilliant men and women who were doing something in the industry and put it into the system, man, what we could have done from a wealth perspective, what we could have done from an entrepreneurial perspective, what we could have done to transform how the economic system would work for the community, that would have changed the game. But that's not where we were, but it does inform where we can be now based upon some things that we're learning about what that system was and how to now use it for our good.
No, I definitely agree. I think that, to your point, like, I think I said it before with you, and definitely agree. Like, it gives them the option of really making it real. Now, like, let's just make it real. It's business, right? You got the mind. You out here flipping sneakers. Make it a business. You know what I'm saying? Make it real. So I definitely think that the hustler spirit that came from the grind of being in those. I mean, look, and my mama know, like, we ripped and ran and did things, you know what I'm saying, and had to make decisions and all of the things, literally, you know what I'm saying, staying up to the middle of the night, watching the door, doing all of the things. Like, it was crazy. Like, it was a crazy life. But to be honest, like, you learn so much that the moment that you apply it to something good, so much good happens. And I've seen it. Like, you've seen people go to prison, right? And they come out and they do all these great things. Well, they're the same person. They just now are using their mind towards something else. And that greatness that they had in them the whole time, now not focused on something negative, is growing something and building something and taking that seed and turning it into a tree, right? Okay, so before,
I saw what you did there.
Yes. So I want to. Okay, Mom. All right. Yep. Yes, they do card you for. Yeah. You know what though? They thank God they card you for everything up to a certain point. Because once you get to a certain age, they stop carding you. Yeah. Because I'm just saying, like, all right. So I want to ask a question to the easy motivational, the listeners out there, because we are live. If you have any experience or any stories you want to tell, like, from your 420 days, you can throw that in the chat.
I want to hear some fun stories.
Yeah, like,
deep, but I want to hear some.
I'm about to tell a fun story. Okay?
That's what I want to hear.
All right, I knew somebody had to tell about themselves. All right, since my mama put it in the thing, right? So So she put it in the thing, right? All right. So when I was young, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, I was out here in these streets, you know what I'm saying? And you know, one day somebody happened to introduce me to this beautiful woman. Now, if y'all did not know, a fun fact that most marijuana plants that you know that you would smoke are female, because the males don't produce the levels of THC, and they actually will destroy a batch of, you know what I'm saying, plants, because the females.
Lesson.
It is. I mean, because you know, that's why her name is Mary Jane. Okay, it's a female. Okay, so
educate us now.
Okay, so you know, when I was young, you know what I'm saying, somebody introduced me to this beautiful woman. Her name was Mary Jane. I got to meet her at a park. Actually, it was the bleachers. This wonderful friend of mine who shout out to wherever you at. I've never seen you again, but you know, if you ever reappear magically in my life, I will welcome you.
This person real?
Yes, this person is real. I'm not gonna say her name on the podcast.
Make sure she wasn't an illusion. Okay.
Listen. All right. So you know, she introduced me to Mary Jane because that was her thing, right? And you know, I did the thing, then I had to catch the bus home, right? And I lived out east, and I went to West High School, right? And I caught the bus west because I was
You went to West School.
Yeah.
It's 10 years before.
So y'all know what happened, right? I did not go the right way. I went west instead of east, and I just rode, man. And the bus stopped at the Westland Mall, and I was like, "What the hell?" Like, I didn't know where I was, man. It was terrible. And then eventually, the bus driver was like, "Dude, you got to go east." So I was like, "Oh, shit." So you know, so let me go. So I hopped on the bus and I went, you know. And then it was late, and I came home and knocked on the door, and somebody come to the door. She looking you right in the face.
Who came to the door?
Mama.
Oh, okay.
Mom came to the door, and I was just standing there. She was like, "Is you high?" I was like, "Not as I was."
That is the best answer I've ever heard. That is
not as I was. Because with you standing in front of me, I sobered up really quick.
And you've been on that bus for so that long.
So
my favorite episode. I don't know.
Yep. Mm-hmm. But you know, I will say this. I will say that there's some reflection that comes in those moments when you go through those experiences, right? You like, I've had drunk moments. I've had some moments where I'm like, I'll never do that again, right? And they do matter, right? Because you start to accumulate things from these experiences where you're like, I don't like me this way, or I don't like these scenarios that I fall into. Or one of the things that I had to learn when I was young is the people who will be around you because of the things you do, right? Like, you know, because you drink, you'll attract people who drink. Because you smoke, you'll attract people that smoke. And those people may not be right for you. So some of those experiences, some people have to go through so that they can learn to be different people and to, you know, excuse people from their lives. Because, you know, we go back to the messy episode where it was like, you was here for a season and a reason, and now you needs to get to leaving. Okay, all right. So I want to do some marijuana fun facts that I think people didn't know. Now, I did have the chance to check out the Bob Marley movie. If you have not seen it, it was a pretty good depiction. That's right. Get my smoke back on cam. But fun fact, Bob Marley was buried with marijuana. If you did not know, he was buried with a bud of marijuana. I think it was his guitar and his Bible. So like a devout smoker. Shout out to Bob Marley, my guy. The other thing, I already told you guys that cannabis is 25,000 years old, 2,500 years old, and then that it's mostly a female plant. And Bob Marley did get buried in it. Yep. Oh, this was a fun one that I really thought about. Did you know that chocolate has the same effect as marijuana? The dopamines that it creates. Oh, they're very similar. So like sex, drugs, and chocolate all like are like in this hierarchy where you can like, depending on which one you're doing, like you can be on something. So you gotta be careful, y'all. Chocolate is a drug. Now that's how I see it. That's what I took away from that. Chocolate is a drug.
Has always been a drug.
That's right. That's right. CT.
So does that mean I'm a drug?
That's right. He was a drug. I was waiting for you to catch it. All right. We did say that
I'm sorry.
We do know that 420 means something, but 420 is technically a code for marijuana. So if you ever say that, you need to be aware that people will be looking at you like, okay, all right. And if you accidentally are telling someone the time, you need to use an African accent and say, excuse me, what is the time? And then you say 420. It is 420. You have to distinguish it, okay? Yeah. And last but not least, no, not last but not least, but George Washington actually was a grower. He was one of the biggest hemp growers in the country. You know, he used it for a lot of different reasons. I think he might have had hemp teeth. I might have made that up.
See, this is what I was saying when I was just like, and it wasn't to dismiss the idea that we got to be very careful because children could have access and all these things. It's just that folks was doing this for a long time and a lot of people. Yeah. So it's kind of like, you know what I mean? Like, I know I'm not articulating this right, but man, come on, you just said George Washington.
Yeah, no, I mean you're right.
A long time.
Yeah, I mean you're right, but you know, I was leaving the last one for everybody to know. Like, my guy, Billy Shakespeare did hit the ganja. That's right. William Shakespeare used to do the thing, okay? And you know what? I just want to say he used to getteth higheth, okay?
I'm not surprised. Especially after reading Shakespeare. I'm not surprised at all.
Getteth higheth.
There should be research. There should be research done on every brilliant person ever on the planet, and they should do a toxicology report just to ensure that they weren't.
I think it would be like quicker to just to identify the folks who didn't do it, maybe because there's gonna be a long list of people that did. That's just the way I look at it. I'm like,
yeah. Well, I mean, so
writers and musicians and like, please.
All right, so but before we jump into the last segment, before we jump into what my grandma do and everything, I do want to show you guys what it was like when I first bought weed. Cam, can you play the clip? This is exactly how I did it.
I'd like to buy some marijuana. This is for science.
Yeah, that's exactly what I did. I walked up. I was like, hey, man, I just want to buy some marijuana. Man, I want to buy some weed. It's for science. Like,
is that Bill Nye?
Yeah, that's Bill Nye. That's Bill Nye. I'm just saying. Now, just know, guys, Bill Nye does have a new show coming out. His first episode is about marijuana. So I was like, oh, cool. I'm going to check. I checked it out. The fact that Bill Nye went in, got his thing, and is like, he didn't smoke. He gave it to the people. And I guess they're going to play like rugby or frisbee or something. All of them pick out something. They're going to play pickleball or something. And everybody else going to be high except him. So I was expecting to watch that. That's going to be off the chain.
That's
oh my God. Yes. I can't help it. Yes. But don't forget, getteth higheth is exactly getteth higheth, says Shakespeare. I'm gonna keep that one going. But I know that we heard from Shakespeare. I know we heard from George Washington. We heard from Cat Williams today. We heard from Bill Nye, the science guy, CT, Johnny My Liege, and your AOCE. But we ain't heard from Grandma. What do you think, Grandma?
Oh man, listen, I appreciate the lead in because Grandma did have something to say, and Grandma has been around a long time. Thank you, Johnny, for acknowledging the fact that this particular naturally grown thing that comes up from the ground that causes an effect on people when done in a particular way. Grandma might say in season 2, when giving a perspective or an idea around this topic, she would say, "Come here, baby." And Grandma might say that from the seed to the tree, there is a way that you might want to think about what the seed is and what the tree is. And in the spirit of every week thinking about how we motivate each other through the topic we provided, Grandma might say that when you think about the seed, you mentioned it earlier, the S on seed is all about the soil. And Grandma would want someone to understand that you are good soil. You are good ground for the seed of positivity, the seed of grace, the seed of love. Like when those seeds are planted inside of you because you are good ground, it gives you the opportunity to and that is to evolve. And in every single instance that the seed is presented an opportunity to be in good ground, it's evolving in a way that gives the next E permission to come to life. And that is, even though you don't see it, it does exist. And as it's evolving in this existing place where nobody can see, that's the genius of the soil. The soil hides what is being evolved in the existence of the seed. And that nobody really knows what it is that you're going through, E. Nobody really truly appreciates what you're experiencing, Johnny, because when you are seed in the soil, in an evolved place where you're needing to exist, you're existing in a way where you only can become a tree if you do the D. And that is, you have to die. The seed has to die in the ground. And when it dies in the ground, it now has the ability to come to life as a tree. So when the seed goes through the process of being in the soil and evolves in a way where it can exist because it's died, it now goes through this transformation process, and that's your T. When you are transforming from seed to tree, you are now going from what somebody cannot see to what now somebody has the ability to see. But you can't see what the tree is doing in the seed until you know that the roots go deep. And though that's your R. The roots have to go down before the tree can go up. And if you don't have deep roots when you are going up, nobody really understands what it means that next E, and that's the evidence that the roots are deep. That's your other E. The evidence that the roots are deep is that now you see that tree growing. You see when that tree grows high, it's because its roots have grown deep. And the evidence of strong roots is that it's your last E. Each branch is producing something. And at each branch that produces something, the evidence that you see because the roots are deep is because it has transformed from a seed to a tree. But that seed that's transformed from a seed to a tree had to die. And when it died in the place where nobody could see, it was still in existence, Johnny, because it had evolved in the soil that it had been given. And when you think about this particular topic from seed to tree, the thing that I want Grandma wants y'all to recognize is that the discussion has been that at one point in time, the seed that was in the ground, when it grew up, it became something that people could use to help them, not harm them. And now that it is helping them, and we have evolved in a way that that seed that now is a tree is being used to make sure that our place, this earth that we are in, is a better place. Thank you, Grandma.
Thank you, Grandma. All right. Okay, Grandma. Okay. All right. You listen, Grandma planting seeds, growing trees, doing all the thing, but she ain't supposed to be. All right, good job, Grandma.
Why didn't you say that now, Grandma?
According to me, she might have.
Grandma,
What I've been saying.
Oh my gosh.
I'm like, everybody do. Okay.
Everybody, right. Everybody done did it. I mean,
all right, Grandma.
Grandma's like, I don't want no more pills. Give me the natural stuff, the stuff that God created. Give it to me.
Yes.
I do love that though. No, we're gonna double break that down. I can't wait till you get that clip out for everybody to be able to cut into, because that's gonna be fun. I feel like we've had a lot of fun with today's conversation, and I was wondering. I have been contemplating. I have been so ready to know, Johnny, what you got?
Not the sound effects. Not the sound effects.
The sound effects.
The sound effects. You were ready, Johnny. You were ready.
I knew it. I knew it.
I like that sound effect though.
That was good.
I asked for that just for you.
That was good. You knew I would enjoy that. I did enjoy that a lot, actually. Oh my gosh, I cannot. And then the thing is, because CT had me laughing first. I was trying to hold it aside. So it was your fault this time, CT.
Oh.
You know what, though? For this conversation, I've been thinking so much about the cultural change part of it. Yeah. That's what I've been stuck on most, just because when you brought up the topic, listen, I watched this movie this weekend called Falling in Love. It was like from 1984 with Robert De Niro and Meryl Streep. And a perfect example of a very, very below average movie with amazing actors in it. You know what I mean? Like I watched it through the whole thing. And I'm like, what is happening in this movie? Let me get to the end. But I couldn't take my eyes off either one of them. But it was so funny because they were out Christmas shopping, right? So the story is that these two are married to different people and they meet each other on a chance encounter and end up falling in love. Okay. They were out Christmas shopping, first of all, in like New York City, and they had bags and bags and bags in their hand, and they bumped into each other and of course got their bags mixed up. We could see that coming from a mile away. And I just thought, one, that would never happen now, because no one would have bags and bags and bags of Christmas presents in their hand. Dude, they were literally carrying skis. No one's going to the store and just carrying out skis. Very rarely is that going to happen, right? So that was an example of a change. And then they could not, they always had to schedule when they were going to see each other. And then hoping that they caught each other on this off chance, because there were no cell phones. And in my mind, of course, because it's 2024, I kept saying, why don't they just pick up this? Oh yeah, that's right. They can't. So you're doing all this running around on these trains and in the city. And I'm like, man, things have just changed so much. And it got me to just thinking about different changes we have, like streaming now. I mean, I was watching it on Netflix. Remember going to Blockbuster? And Friday night, like that was the thing to do. You went to Blockbuster, you rented, and people thought the whole Netflix idea was crazy when you used to, put your money in and get out the disc and then ship it back and all this other stuff. They thought it was crazy, and look what it's turned into. Yep. And so I don't know, just this idea of change, because we often say, I've interviewed a lot of people too, and they always say like, oh yeah, change is great. I can accept change. I can handle change. But we as humans, it can be very difficult to accept change. So I just wanted to kind of acknowledge some of the 4 stages of change. Now you could get, depending on, where you do your research, there's many different aspects of it. But that first part is like awareness, right? Where you're initially shocked and in complete denial of what the change will be or whatever that change is. I think about just how when Facebook first started, I was like, what's the point of getting on Facebook if I'm contacting the people I see every day? Now, guess what? Everybody I know is on Facebook, right? So just in complete denial. And then you have resistance. So these 2 things are focused more on the past, right? You're resistant because you're focused on the way things used to be. And how do we really move forward if we're always focused on the past and what things used to be, right? Then you have to be more future focused, to focus on the commitment, to stay motivated through other people, stay focused on the purpose. And then finally, that piece where you get to acceptance, right? Where you're like, okay, it might be provisional acceptance. Maybe I'm accepting this because this part looks good, but I don't know about this. But we have to get to that future focus piece. So I'm just hoping that helps me sometimes when I'm thinking about change and how to break it down, because I know I don't accept it very well. So if I help myself move throughout those different 4 stages, maybe I can get to that other side where I'm focused on the future. Because sometimes change is happening and we can't do nothing about it. So we might as well just embrace it and go along with it.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. I like that. Okay, Johnny. Okay. All right. So get ready for these cultural changes, as jarring as they may be, because they come in.
May be, y'all.
Yeah, I like that. Cam, can you do me a favor and play that song we was listening to so I can go into my ALC real quick? You know the one. All right, this is for the day motivationers. This is for y'all. I just want y'all to know. I'm gonna talk y'all out of here. Y'all got every opportunity to do what you want to do. Now, don't forget, this is 420 and 22. I got none on it. I ain't got nothing that you need. I ain't got nothing on it. I ain't got no stupid weed. I ain't got nothing on it. I don't even got anything in my pocket. I ain't got nothing on it. Better get out of my face before I knock your eye out the socket. Okay, you can cut it out. All right, cool. All right, cut it out. Just want to let people know I ain't got nothing on it. I ain't got nothing on it.
Johnny, what happened? What just happened?
I ain't got nothing on it.
What happened? What happened, y'all?
Just had to be honest, y'all. I had listen. On today's actual topic, I am happy that we have come into a space that allows for us to be able to talk about this, because it's not something that culturally we usually would talk about, right?
Yeah.
Everything is so daggone taboo, and at the same time, it's not. So if you are a partaker, or you are just a viewer of somebody who would do it and not actually participate, I think something I wanted to call out is that judgment. Now, I think CTU said that, like, that judgment of people without understanding their scenarios and where they are and why they're doing what they do is wrong. And I think that until we have a clear understanding of why people are motivated to make the changes in the world, that always trying to fight the changes that people are trying to make is wrong. We got to be open to what changes people are proposing, and be open to the fact that our cultures do need to improve and change and be inclusive to allow for, everybody to feel that they can be represented and cared for and loved on. So, from your AOC, I would sing a lyric from How High or Cypress Hill, but just know I ain't got nothing on it. So with that, I'm going to go into our final thoughts. And I'm going to check in with CT first, because it looked like Johnny froze.
Oh, I think Johnny's okay. Yeah.
Ace doing all right, Fluff?
She okay? That's all right. Okay, so while we're waiting for Johnny, there's two things I want to do. Let me do it like this. Let me see. Hold on.
Girl, I need to smoke some weed and see if it don't help the quality of life. I know, I see some of y'all. Look, I understand. If you ain't smoking weed because you got a good job, then by all means make your paper, boo-boo. But if you ain't got no job and you not smoking weed, I don't know what you are doing with your life.
What I would say to the easy motivationers is love yourself. Like, whatever it is that you are choosing to do, ensure that you're doing it in a way that is helping you grow, that's helping you to thrive, that's helping you to be in the very best position possible for you to be who you're supposed to be. We talk all the time about being your very best self, right? And sometimes we get stuck, and I'm going to come back to it. Sometimes we get stuck because we're afraid or scared of the judgment of others.
Yeah.
And I do, like, I can't even put words on the idea that someone else's judgment is not how you're supposed to be functioning through your life. And so if that's something in the context of our conversation, watch this now, that if you are doing it because it's helping the seed that you are to evolve to the tree that you can be, then be all that you can be. And so enjoy, but do so in a way that allows you to make sure that you don't indulge beyond what's needed and or necessary so you can't function responsibly in this world.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, you are not in this by yourself. You are with it with other people. And so if you are going to, make sure somebody knows. Make sure it's not something you're doing in quiet or in secret or as a hidden thing that you're indulging in. Make sure that a partner, a colleague, a friend, as we have said many times on this pod, that your circle knows, right? So they can always make sure that you are in moderation allowing yourself to do whatever it is you're needing to do to help you get to where you need to get to in a way that allows you to stay responsible in a conversation that is happening, not just around you, but happening for you and with you. That's my final thought.
All right, I love that, CT. I love that. All right, Johnny, my liege, what do you got?
I got so distracted, y'all, because that daggone Ace came in here. First of all, the door is closed. He opened the door and unplugged the internet. So I don't know what my final thoughts are. Can I just say I agree with everything CT just said.
Ace needs a gum. Ace.
Ace does. Ace does.
Like,
So, in your research, did you find out that they give them to puppies now too? Did you find that out?
I think everybody on the internet has seen the video of the lady whose dog ate her gummy, and the dog was all limp and like this. And
What do you mean? He opened the door.
yeah,
Gosh, that's so embarrassing.
yeah.
But seriously, you know what? I love what you said about other people's opinion. And yeah, just do you, y'all. I'm so distracted. But yeah, I agree with everything CT. Today's gonna be the day I'm just like, I echo that. Do you, y'all, responsibly, carefully, embrace change because it's coming, and it's coming so fast. You said that today too, Eve. You were like, it's moving so fast, like we can barely keep up with things. So you gotta, you gotta embrace it to some degree.
Yeah. You gotta stay all the way on it. All the way on it. So
you do.
Yeah. All right. So for my final thoughts, yes. I think that was the dog's name, Ollie, right? Like the little dog that was limp. Oh my God, that dog. Listen,
no, she's talking about our dog.
What happened to Ollie?
Never mind. We ain't gonna ask about Ollie. We gonna fifth.
So okay,
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, fifth. He pleads the fifth.
I want to know what happened to Ollie. Y'all got to Mel. You gonna have to hit me up and tell me.
Fifth.
Okay, so the quick is right. So Ollie has anxiety when he goes to the groomer. And so the groomer had made a comment about helping him to relax. So we were able to find some nip that was going to help him relax. The thing about it is we were unfamiliar at the time with the particular dosing that was needed necessary for him to be able to relax. Now he is unharmed, but let's just say that he did not have an opportunity to be groomed that day because whatever amount of dosing we provided him to relax, his intestinal self just the groomer called us. It was like, "Yo, your dog is pooping everywhere. Like he is pooping everywhere, and he's we're in the 4th cage, and now we have no more cages for the other dogs, and so we can't wash him because he's releasing all that is within him. So we learned the lesson, knowing that there was good intention around helping him relieve some of his anxiety. We just weren't familiar with what it is that he needed so that he did not have an internal intestinal thing. He's fine, everybody. This was months ago, but
not years. This was just months ago.
And so we're good, right? Years ago. Sorry, thank you, Johnny. So it's months ago that it happened, and so he's fine. But it was a thing. It was
Ollie.
a thing.
I love it. He warned us earlier, like these are the lessons, right? You have to learn these lessons sometimes so you don't make the same mistakes.
Yes.
Yeah. So I just want to throw this out there since we're doing this. I've seen animals on on the stuff on the Yippee, and they get trippy. So I can only imagine how poor Ollie was doing. Yes, right. That is true, Mom. That's right. That don't change. That don't change. Your faith don't change. That's all right. Okay. So my final thoughts is when I was a kid, I ate marijuana. All right, there it is. My final thoughts. There it is. When I was a kid, I ate
for 16 hours.
No, I was young, and I ate a whole bunch, and apparently I don't know what happened to me. but I know that somebody was mad that a lot got eaten. But you know, it wasn't my fault. It was. I ate it. So I mean, you got to be.
Oh wow.
I don't even know what I was thinking. So yeah. So Yep. So my final thoughts was don't eat it. Unless it's edible or brownies, like Mom said. But yeah, no, seriously. Just thanks, Mom. Thanks for amending.
Listen, Mom telling it all. He was in a stupor.
I love Mom on this pod so much. I'm telling you what.
I cannot wait until she actually comes on here, guys, because I'm gonna have a bunch of questions too that she can't run away from. But no, I love this conversation. I love the topic. I love the fact that we get to talk about cultural changes, and I got to drop my corny joke at 422. I mean, come on, guys, thank you. Yes, thank you. I appreciate it. I want to go ahead. I love you too, Mom. You know I do. I want to go ahead and do the round robin and go ahead and tell everybody that they can find us on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook. I mean, I think we may even make a Pinterest now. You did call us out, CT. I wanted to say this. I have worked with food in culinary capacities with marijuana, doing dosing as well as mixology. And you're right. It is an experience, and like you have to be very careful. Yes. And you know, it's not something you just like, oh, I'm just trying to get you some food. You get like, no, there's like ups and downs in your menu that you need to be kind of like working towards. So I got a chance to work on that too. That was really fun. Yeah, so good shout out, good call out to that. I definitely have played around in that realm, but I just want to make it clear we're everywhere, y'all, and we show up here every week for y'all. It is wonderful to have you in the comments. It's wonderful. So please make sure you're liking, you're commenting, you're subscribing on all of the platforms. If you can go ahead and hit a star and give us a rating so we can get our stars up. The faster we get those stars up, the more likes, the more comments, the more interactions we get, the bigger that we can grow this. And we want to make this as big as possible. So we love you guys, and we cherish your support. So I'm going to go ahead and sign us out and tell you all that you can just chill until the next episode. Have a good night, guys. Peace.
Peace, y'all.
Peace.
All right. Two